guy's amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah. Do you notice his hands, Stephen?
Mm-hmm.
This is Clayton Haslip. Clayton Haslip has a condition that he cannot move his ring and pinky fingers on his left hand.
So he learned to play with 2 fingers.
No, and he's concertmaster. That's pretty amazing, huh?
Amazing.
Oh, yeah, excellent. All right.
All right.
How are you, Stephen?
I'm all right. That was pretty amazing. What do you think, man?
Oh, man, I had to share that with you. It's just such like a feel-good thing. I have to see where he's, what orchestra he's with. I think he is with, where is he? I don't know. He's somewhere. I have to figure it out where it was. I lost it. But it's a pretty major orchestra, and he's concertmaster with that condition. 2 fingers on his left hand.
Unbelievable.
Clayton Haslip. Yep.
Unbelievable. That makes the day a little brighter, doesn't it? So, Gideon, how have you been?
I'm good, actually. We should welcome everyone to Dabi and Costello, right? The adventures of 2 singers of dubious sobriety. That's the tagline that I'm going with for now. Right. We have a great show today.
We have a great show today. We've got incredible guests. LaTanya Moore, world famous soprano, unbelievable. I can't wait for you guys to meet her. And Gideon, what's been going on with you this week, man?
I got to see the family again, which was nice. You know, we decided we're doing like a tight circle thing, so we don't really hang out with other people too much. And
yeah, I know. I called you a bunch of times, and you're always busy with family now. So
I know. I'm a jerk.
I know. Things have been quite calm here recently. I've been taking a break from the news, except for the stuff for our show. But, oh my God, I feel so much happier. I feel slightly normal. I mean, other than being locked in, having to wear a mask every 10 minutes, and everything's still closed. Other than that, and out of work, but other than that, I feel quite normal. How about you? So, we're phase 2. Yeah, we're going to go to phase 3 a week from today, hopefully.
Yeah, but they're changing it a little bit, so we're not going to have the gym for a while, and indoor dining even later. Yeah,
I was going to say, what really is phase 3? It's kind of just a continuation of phase 2 with maybe 2 extra add-ins or something. I don't know.
Phase 2 is 5.5 feet of social distance, maybe.
Yeah, I think we can go back to work in phase 25, but they haven't really admitted it yet, you know?
Well, it's funny because that's going to be some of the stories that we talk about, because I feel like there's sort of a growing awareness now, finally, of this plight of the singers, the plight of the musicians, that, we're kind of screwed, right? We are the last. Broadway formally announced they're not going until 2021, so we just, I don't know, but at least people are making some noise about it. Certainly overseas, maybe it'll turn into something over here too. Yeah,
I wonder though how much it is about COVID, obviously, but also liability. I think a lot of people are worried about liability of people in their theater, people that work for them, and worried about what happens if they catch it. Are they liable? Can we hold them? Can we hold them responsible? Will people sue them? I think that's a big issue. I don't know 100% sure. I haven't heard from any management, but that's just a theory.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I know it's been an issue for other people. That was one of the things I remember when that meat factory got shut down, and we were worried about meat shortages. That was their main concern, was the liability. And then they went in and said, no, don't worry. It's going to be fine. We're writing that one off.
Yeah, absolutely. They're worried about meat shortages. So what do? They raise the price on meats so nobody can afford it. So then, hey, there's no shortage at that point. It's like you go into into a supermarket, and it's like, oh, I'll take the New York strip for $30. But so who's going to buy it?
I don't know, but I do know that it's led me to drink a little bit, maybe a little too much. I don't know. How about you?
Of course, it's cheaper. What are you drinking this week?
Okay, so I'm actually going to show this one to you because you wouldn't believe me if I fucking just told you about it. Okay, you ready for this one? I know I built it up now, so it better be good. Okay, so this is what I've been drinking this week. I may have to go in the middle of the show because now I'm in a really good mood after seeing you for the first time in a while. Look at this. This is Bohemian bourbon. Do you see this, what it says here? Proof that? Do you see what that says?
Yeah.
Read it.
Wow.
114.5 proof.
Oh my God.
That is 57.25% alcohol. As a friend of mine said, it's lighter fuel. It's just lighter fuel. It's like you break open the Bic and you just like.
Does it come with the same thing that's like on the Bacardi 151? How it has the flame-proof top, just in case you happen to be pouring it near an open flame.
It has the usual wax top, but I mean, I don't know. But I had to show this to you because you wouldn't have believed me otherwise. But yes, this is what I'm drinking this week. I highly recommend it. It's a good one.
You know how near and dear this is to me. I am drinking the Proper 12, the Conor McGregor Irish whiskey. I happened to be able to venture out to Jersey this week, and I saw it sitting on the shelf, and I was like, I got to get it. Remember, it was my go-to for such a long time because it just tastes so good. It's so smooth, and it's not too expensive.
I know, like, they rip on it. You know, I had a friend who went to Ireland recently. He's like, oh, they hate it there in Ireland, but I think it's pretty good. Sorry, I do. I like it, and I love Conor. So
yeah, I mean, that's the thing about alcohol, right? Everybody has their own flavor and their own taste. Not every one bottle is for everyone. Yeah. Of course, I mean, I know people that just drink expensive alcohol because it's cool, as opposed to if they like it.
Yeah. Right. And actually, like my favorite bourbon is considered pretty middle of the road as far as price. It's the Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace.
You can get it for $35-$40 a bottle.
Absolutely.
That's my favorite one. I mean, I do love the Lagavulin, which I think I first had it at your place, actually.
Yeah, who doesn't?
That's pushing $80-$90 a bottle, so that's a little bit of a different story.
Yeah, especially post-COVID now, you know. Being out of work, we have to lower our standards a little bit. And when I mean being out of work, I mean out of income altogether. So
we'll talk about that with our guests as well.
So what do we got in news today? Any a couple news stories we can hit before we bring Latanya on?
Yeah, I mean, we have a little bit more of the depressing stuff. Oh, actually, let's do a little bit of cleanup first. For those people who were looking for last week's show, sorry, you will not find it. Yes, as you know, one of the little hitches that we have now that we are media, Stephen, you and I are media, is that those appearances need to be approved by massive HR departments sometimes. And if they are not approved for whatever reason, the guest kindly asks us to dispense of the show. That's okay. We'll hopefully have her on again in a more approved capacity. And she had a great time. And so, yeah, we will definitely be hearing from her again.
Those HR departments protect her and they protect us so we don't get sued. So
yes.
So that's
So I have the best news. Let's start with some good news, okay? How about we start some good news? Because we could always use some more good news, okay? And the good news is that, do you know who I am, Steven? I'll tell you who I am. I'm Batman. That's right.
This is the best news of
Michael
COVID.
Keaton. Michael fucking Keaton is back to be Batman. He's going to be Batman again, and I'm so excited. So maybe people are wondering, well, wait a minute, he's older now. How's he going? Well, this has been the Flash movie. And for those who aren't big comic book dorks like I am, the Flash actually can travel in time. So I believe that he's going to be older Batman.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. I think Michael Keaton coming back to Batman is like the best thing that's happened in like years. I mean, I don't know.
Yes.
I get into the argument all the time. People love the Ben Affleck Batman. I couldn't fucking stand it.
Oof.
I thought it was the worst Batman ever. I mean, it's kind of like Pearl Harbor, the movie, right?
A good one. It was the Pearl Harbor. It's the Pearl Harbor of Batman movies, is what it was.
It was. It's like it sucks, man.
Yes, but in that same capacity, we have follow up with some other good news in that respect. At least it's good news to me. Maybe this won't be as exciting for you. I don't know. We haven't talked about this one, but speaking of good superheroes, that's right. Henry Cavill wants to stay as Superman.
I like him as Superman. I think he's great. I think what made him a weaker Superman was doing Batman versus Superman with Ben Affleck.
Well, I mean, yes, it's sort of like a charisma vacuum, addition by subtraction.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, good, our guest is here. Okay, yeah, we were having some technical issues with our guest, but I'm glad that she's
back?
Back? Yes, she is back. We're having some.
It's the world we live in now, right? With all of this internet stuff and high tech, whatever. I mean, I'm still like, I wish I could go back to the BlackBerry. Every now and then, I just really just like, there's something about like the BlackBerry and having buttons that you can actually feel in your hand when you're typing.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've had to go back and re-edit all of my messages because my fingers are too big for the damn buttons on these fucking iPhones. It's true.
Well, it happened. Yes. No, I'm with you. We have some controversy about your opinions on Ben Affleck. We're already controversial.
No, it's starting.
We're already controversial. Oh boy, man, you're gonna have to settle that out the next family.
Oh, my cousin Brian, I'm completely out of my mind. Come on. How can I be out of my mind?
A lot of people like the Ben Affleck Batman. I'm sorry.
I don't know. He does Batman. He's got this undertone in his voice. It seems like he's always got food in his mouth when he talks. I don't know. There's something about it that I just don't like.
I never heard that one, but I like it.
I will take Michael Keaton or Christian Bale any day, and that's it. They're the only two people that ever played Batman.
I agree. I'm old enough, yes, to know that I remember when they first announced Michael Keaton as Batman. I'm like, fucking Beetlejuice is going to be Batman? This is going to be terrible. Nope. No, he wasn't.
He was awesome.
He was awesome. He was totally awesome.
And he was awesome in Beetlejuice, too.
Really?
Come on.
Yes, he really
was great. Michael Keaton, in my opinion, can do pretty much anything. He made fucking Mr. Mom work. I mean, let's be honest. He's like a jack of all trades, you know?
He is. I agree 100%.
And if he were running for president, I'd vote for him.
Well, I mean, I wish, but
but
that's asking a lot. All right. So how about our guest?
Oh, let's bring her on. She'll love this show. Our guest today is one of the best sopranos in the game, has one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard. And I can attest to that. She's had it since she was young. She's just had it. She's always had it. She's had big successes everywhere she goes. Washington National Opera, the Metropolitan Opera. She has a recording, Mahler 2 on Deutsche Grammophon. There's not enough I can say about this soprano. She's awesome, and she's doing it. So it's LaTanya Moore. Do we have a clip?
Yes, we do. Give me 1 second, and I'm going to get this clip going for us. Okay, here we go. Let's see what we got. She gets the full screen.
Can we turn it up?
Yes, we can. There she is.
LaTanya, can you hear us?
Oh
Wait.
my God. You are okay, Stephen. First of all, hello, Stephen, and hello.
Hey, you look
hello,
great.
But
Quarantine.
you are hilarious. I have never seen that clip.
You've never seen it? It's all over the internet.
You're killing me. No, I mean, where did you even get it from?
We have our media team. Yeah.
Yes.
This is a professional show here, LaTanya. What do you mean? Where do we get it?
Yes.
That clip specifically is from a dress rehearsal from San Diego. I know that's what it is, but I've never seen that before, and I didn't know there was a video of it, but I know what it was. You know what I mean? I could tell just by the way I was singing it. You know exactly what it was. But oh my God, I'm the sort of singer. For those who don't know me at all, I hate to watch myself, and I hate to look at myself, and I hate to listen to myself. Okay. But more importantly, I hate to watch myself, which is really to my detriment, because it's always good for you to look at yourself sing, because not right now I'm mortified. But what I just saw was I'm like, oh, I should have done this. Oh my God, my face was ugly. Oh my God, I should have fixed this. And it's a fault of me and my insecurity and not going back to watch myself. So I'm going to say something and segue into something that Stephen told me a while back. Somebody was asking me, they said, what do? You feel like you're running into vocal trouble. Okay. They said, you feel like you're running into vocal trouble. Your voice is not working the way it should. I was texting Stephen a while back. I was like, I'm running into vocal trouble, Stephen. I remember I was pregnant with Julian. And Stephen said to me, he was like, look, I think the best thing for you to do is go back and listen to when it was sounding good. You go back and listen to that. Listen to yourself sounding good. That's where you're going to find it. That's where you'll find the answer. It's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever been given, and I pass it along just so you know. I totally stole it.
LaTanya, I've known you for such a long time now, and I have to say I've never heard you in vocal trouble. I've never heard you in vocal trouble, and even when you've come off stage and you're like, "Oh my God, I was a mess," I was just like, absolutely not. I don't know which concert you're listening to or which one you're part of, but you weren't in one we were listening to.
Okay, but a perfectionist version of trouble. That's what you're listening to.
I had that.
I wanted to be so right.
I had that same issue.
It's just not.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. There's a delay. It's a little throwing us off. Can we fix the delay, Gideon, or no?
Which delay? No. I mean,
okay.
That's the vagaries of the internet. That's how it is.
LaTanya, it's the same thing. I have the same problem. I was when I was recording my last album, it took me, it probably took me 2 months to just go and do the edits. Not because there were so many. I just couldn't bring myself to listen to myself sing. I couldn't stand it.
Oh my God, totally.
It's like when you hear your voice,
it's on your nerves almost, even when it sounds good.
Yeah, it's awful. It feels awful. You feel so insecure. You feel so naked when you're doing it. And then you're just like, Jesus Christ, no one's going to buy a fucking album. Right. Oh, man. So how are you doing, LaTanya? How are you doing locked up in COVID?
Obviously, that was wrong. Obviously, you were nominated for a Grammy.
Oh.
Yeah,
Drink.
we were nominated but didn't win.
Every time we mention it, you got to drink. Granny.
I mean, Look, I maintain, and I always say, because everybody asks me how I'm doing this stuff. I mean, look, you got somebody here who's 5 years old, another one who's 3 years old, and they feel like they're running the show. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm just running after them hand and foot at all times. You know what I mean? But not at all times. I mean, they've gotten to the point where they will allow me to practice and sing, and they're okay with being here while I'm doing it. So that's okay. And I've had my husband to help out. I mean, he's great because, he's all about taking care of the children so that I can go do X and Y and Z, which is not much these days. It's usually just things like this. So he has the kids now. Other things like this, sitting here talking and drinking.
What are you drinking?
A little bit of a head start.
What are you drinking?
Had just bourbon, honey. Bourbon.
Which wine?
This is just a basic bullet because I just finished a really discount bottle of Ezra Brooks. Okay, because it's cheap like that. But my favorite bourbon, just because y'all were mentioning bourbon, and I took a screenshot of that hot shit earlier.
Oh, Pinhook. Good stuff.
Burn me down.
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
So my favorite though of bourbons will forever be Blanton's.
Blanton's. You know, my wife and I went through a thing with Blanton's. A friend of ours introduced us to Blanton's, and I was unaware of it. But then my wife,
you know what, Eunice got good taste. I just love her. I bet we could drink all the way.
Yeah, but you know what she did? She then found out that with Blanton's, if you can collect all the tops, because each of the tops are different, and they spell out Blanton's.
Yeah.
So if you collect
Blanton's.
all of them, you can send them in, and they'll like mount them on something for you and send it back. I had no idea. We've got probably until the end and stopped. Yeah, supposedly. I don't take my word. You have to ask her. Do you?
Yes.
That's
look into it.
That's like the adult version of when we were kids and you have to send the top of the fucking cereal box.
Absolutely.
And then you send it away, and then 6 weeks later you get a stuffed animal that was like 35 cents.
Yeah, right. Yeah. $700 later in cereal.
After we finish on here, I'm going right into storage and I'm getting my prize. I collected all of the cereal box back and I want my prize.
So, Latanya, let's talk to you a little bit about career, because you started at such a young age. I mean, when I met you, you were at AVA. You were in your 4th year at AVA, and you had just recorded. Mahler 2.
Yep.
With Deutsche Grammophon. So
yep.
And that was a big deal. I mean, that was huge. You were technically, to all of us, already established as a world-class artist.
Man, let me tell you, I got thrown into it randomly because the conductor was Gilbert Kaplan. And I don't know if y'all know him, but he was only known for conducting Mahler 2. Nothing else. He might have done some other things here and there, but all I know him for is Mahler 2. He had a recording of it before with Benita Valente. And he heard me at the Met auditions, like in 2000 at the Met finals. And he was like, I just love you. And I want to use you for Mahler 2nd in Oslo. So it was the first time I had ever been overseas in 2001, after the towers had come down. Okay. This was like in November, 2 months later. I get to Norway. I'm jet lagged. I have no idea what I'm in for when it comes to jet lag. I wake up and it's like 4:15, 4:30 in the afternoon, and it's almost black outside. I said, shit, it's the apocalypse. The world is gonna end. What's going on? So, my go-to guru, Jesus, I call Jesus Garcia, of course. Like, Jesus, oh my God, the world's ending. He was like, oh my God, you dummy. I mean, look, you're in Norway. You know what I mean? Like, it's dark out there, you dumb. You need to think. I was like, oh my God. I just wasn't used to it being dark at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but that's how they rock it up there. Yeah. Even though I'll tell you, Norway is one of the best places I've ever been in my entire life. In Bergen, in Oslo, and especially in Bergen, because I actually went there a lot, to sing different roles. I got to do Desdemona there. It was the only time I got to do it, but fantastic place to be. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But I'll tell you, when I first went there, I was sure it was the end of the world. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, Anyway, suffice it to say, after that went well, Gilbert Kaplan asked me to do the recording of the Mahler 2nd in Vienna. And I was 22. And I went and I was just like, what is going on here? I had no idea what I was doing there or anything, but I can tell you this. As we were recording, the maestro had us stand, me and the mezzo was Nadia Michael. Okay. And he had us stand within the orchestra. So I stood in the middle of the strings and the violins and the violas, and she stood on the opposite side behind the cello, right? And the sound, I mean, to this day, oh my God, every time I think of it, I chill out, man. Goosebumps, chills all the way, because it was one of the most incredible things I'd ever heard live in person to my body. And I had done things with different orchestras. I had done them at auditions, and I did some Mozart and the Charpentier, beautiful. But there was something about being in the middle of that orchestra doing Mahler in the Musikverein in Vienna. It has stuck with me for life. No, it wasn't Tosca. It wasn't Butterfly or anything like that. It was something as simple as the Mahler 2nd. And the Mahler 2nd for soprano is not actually a lot of music. You know what I mean? It's very little when it comes down to it. But that's the kind of shit that sticks with you, man. Like it sticks with you forever. Those little experiences, those things that give you chills, those little lines, you know, here and there within an opera. I mean, that's what gives me the thrill. And because of just that thrill alone, that's why the memory is stuck with me more than it being Deutsche Grammophon or Vienna Philharmonic or Musikverein. That didn't matter nearly as much as how it felt to be standing in the middle of them in sync like that. An orchestra that had been together for so long. I mean, it's such a special thing. It's so important. And it's a shame we can't do it right now. But people take for granted how special an art form this is, yeah? Doing the classical arts. It's so high. I'm sorry, but it is a high art form.
It really is. You know, it's funny.
It's any other art, but it's.
Speaking of that, what made you want to get into classical music? Because to me, I mean, like the one thing I always loved about your voice was that one, you never tried to sound like anybody else, but you never have sounded like anybody else. Your tone is very special, and it's completely Latanya. So like whenever I hear your voice, like, oh, it's Latanya. Of course it is.
Right.
So you've never. So what is it that got you into classical music? Why? I mean, because here's the thing. If you didn't, like we wouldn't have you as an artist, and that would be, I mean, completely sad.
Well, I'll tell you this because, you know, people have asked me this question so many times, but I'm going to answer it differently. You know, where it's only in regard to how I feel about classical music and not who else might have inspired me and why I went there. Because the real question is, once you're exposed to classical music, why do you stay, right? Why do you stay with it? Why do you continue? For me, it did something to me, like it got under my skin in a way that Guns N' Roses couldn't quite do because I was so obsessed with them. It got under my skin in a way that Duke Ellington couldn't quite do, you know? And so once I was exposed to that classical music, which was in junior high school, Brahms, Mozart, Verdi, Mendelssohn, Stravinsky, there was I don't know, I felt my brain growing. I felt like I could see something different in the sky. I have no idea how to describe it, but it's a drug, right? And somehow when I listen to it, even now, if I were to sit here and put on something as random as, I don't know, Rienzi, Wagner, there's something, I would listen so hard to the chord structures and something about it wakes me up. I cannot explain it, really, because I'm a lover of all music on a very base level. But when it comes to opera, for instance, I could have been a jazz singer. I was better at it, to be honest, than I am at opera. And I could have been a jazz singer, but I chose opera because it gave me this thrill. It makes me nervous. I mean, I don't know. I live for it. It gives me a thrill that I can't get from other music. It's very specific. And because of that, I kept singing it. Even if I wasn't the best at it, it didn't matter because I knew that I could emote 100% in classical music where I couldn't do it through another vein. Does it make any sense?
Absolutely. I mean, I find that for me with classical music there's a discipline to it, right? So there's also that makes you want to work at it. And there's something rewarding about working on a piece that is hard.
Yeah.
And when you finally get it, and when it finally gets comfortable, and it finally starts to come out, and you can finally then take all the nuances and start to shape it, there's something really exciting and something really gratifying about that feeling. And I think, you know, and I feel like I went to a jazz school myself for undergrad, and I feel like, you know, there was an expression that most
University of Arts.
Correct, right. And I feel like there's an expression that a lot of jazz players can do on the spot differently all the time to emote what they're doing. But I could never do that in like jazz music, but I could find it in classical music. And I think that's like, it's like languages, right? It's like finding a language in music that you can use, that you can express yourself through. And that's what I got from classical music. What about you, Gideon?
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, my father was a classical guitarist, you know, so I grew up with a lot of the sort of North African Spanish, because he's not American by birth, he's from the Middle East by birth, so we grew up grew up with this kind of like the Albinez and these kinds of amazing leyenda, all the guitar pieces. And the only music that had that kind of drama for me was first heavy metal, which is what I really wanted to do initially, thanks to my older brother, and Bruce Dickinson of Iron Maiden, and that's what I wanted to sound like. But I sort of hit a like, why can't I hit a fucking B flat? What is going on with me? And then I just sort of gravitated toward that, something that I could sing, and then it just was so rewarding to actually sing. To me, it's my sport. I always wanted to be an athlete, but I'm fucking terrible. So this is my sport, and this is the sort of athletic and artistic kind of conflation or a combination, and that's. As to why do you stay in it, I have a good answer for that. I'm too stupid to quit. That's why.
Well, it's like a drug, right? It's like a drug.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one thing. It's funny. We're talking about this, and one thing that we all have in common is we have it all in our backgrounds, at home or in school. And I think a lot of the issues we're having in music right now, when it comes to why people aren't doing it, why there aren't enough people doing it, why people are not interested, and I really think it's because they started to take it out of schools. People are not exposed to classical music anymore at such an early age, and when you take it out of your school, you lose an entire future. And it takes these moments like you, Latanya, me, Gideon, that we've all had. And because a lot of homes do not play classical music on a regular basis, right? I mean, let's be honest. When I grew up, my parents didn't play classical music. I discovered it in school. So it's like, you lose that. So that's the problem. When we start taking it from people at such a young age, you can't get it back later on in life. I don't know. How do you feel, Latanya? I mean, when you were younger, were you first exposed to it at home, or were you first exposed to it in school?
When I was first exposed to classical music, it was from my sister, Yolanda, because she learned it from school. So she had taken home a couple of like solo books with some like the 24 Italian art songs. And by this time, I guess when I saw her doing this, I was about 12. Now, I didn't pay a lot of attention to what it was, but this is when she was first bringing it home. And when I heard her singing some of the music, this is when I became attracted to it. So that's when I learned about it, but it was through the vein of school. And in Texas, where we grew up, it was a requirement from elementary school that you learn the ledger lines and the solfege. It was a requirement by Ross Perot, a requirement for music in schools in Texas, that you must know the solfege and you must know the ledger lines. You must know how to basically read music. It was incredible.
And it's funny.
I mean? Now, some people, they went off and did whatever other things they were going to do. But the truth is, that was the initial exposure. And a lot of us continue to follow it. And it was an amazing discipline. One that I think always helps with things like math and science. I mean, let's get real, because music is a science when it comes down to it. It's mathematical. It really is. It's all about layers, and it's all technically laid down exactly the way it should be.
Absolutely. You're right. I mean, you're completely right.
Fundamentals in school, when you get that fundamentals in school, even if you don't want to continue to be a musician, it is an amazing base. It's an amazing groundwork for anything you go to do from there. It's an amazing discipline, like you said before.
Absolutely. And not only that, it teaches you how to work with your other colleagues. It teaches you, if you're in a chorus or something in high school, you're working together as a group. You're harmonizing as a group. You're working together to produce something. You're working together to produce an art, and it shows a lot. I mean, I have more friends still that I was friends with in high school because of that experience, because of that choir experience, because of that band experience. You become like a family. You spend all day together working on a problem and solving it, and we miss that in schools. Another thing, Latanya, if you don't mind me asking, is you are a mother, right? Something Gideon and I could never share with our audience, because we'll never know. Was it difficult for you? Several questions. Not only to have kids and have a career, but did you also feel a lot of like negativity of people discounting having a career when you have kids? Because I know that's a big issue, and people are like, "Oh, you're going to get pregnant, and you're not going to have time for a career. I mean, how did you deal with that? Because a lot of people, I'm sure, will go through the same thing as you and need to know these answers.
This was a really hard one for me because initially, in order for me to accept that I was going to have my first baby, I had to cancel major gigs. You know, one of them being a new production of La Valley at Dallas Opera, and another one being finally a run in my own right of Aida at the Met. And I knew I was going to have to cancel both of those things. I still chose to have my child. Why? I guess because when it comes down to it, I do not have fear of whether or not my career is going to continue. The only reason is because I know it's what I'm meant to do. So I put everything I have toward that, regardless of family, regardless of anything that goes on outside of it. You know, I put all of my eggs in one basket, and my family adhered to my career. Now, as much as I would like to hear and say, you know, my life revolves around my family. No, me and my family almost revolve around my career.
Wow.
Okay. Now, I'll tell you what, you asked me how quarantine has treated me. One thing that's opened my eyes is that everything is revolved around my career regarding my family. So now I've decided there needs to be a shift. As much as I have always wanted to put all of my eggs toward my career and focus all of my attention and all of my energy toward that, I'm going to stop doing that because I have faith that it'll always be there. You know what I mean? And I had that faith, not always, because when I got pregnant with my second child, I thought, maybe I'm in trouble. Maybe I've decided I want to be a mom and not have a career at all. But then I had to remind myself of Renee Fleming, of Renato Scotto, of all those incredible divas that had a family and they were bad bitches. Oh my God, they were incredible, right? Family aside, because they integrated them. So with my family, they know what I do. Naomi knows what I do. Julian, he knows what I do. They understand it. They support it. Sometimes they're screaming at me for it, but they are part of what my life already was because my life was opera before they existed. Yeah. So this is the life they've come into, and it's the life I've decided for them to come into. You cannot say, if you decide to continue to have a career, for all those women out there who are saying, I put my family first. Incorrect. If you decide to have a career, you have put your career first and you've integrated your family into it. There's no other way. Because if you've decided that your family is first, your family will be first and your career will suffer. You have to make a choice, you know, and I made this choice because I feel like it was the choice that would make me the most happy. And just like they say on an airplane, assist yourself first before you assist others. I hate to say it, you know, because people will judge it as something very selfish. But you have to be happy in what you do and who you are. You have to be happy in your own skin. You have to be happy in what you are and what you want in life before you can teach other people how to live.
Absolutely.
Children,
I think we need to end the show on that. Thank you.
In order for them to be happy, they have to see me doing exactly what it is I've decided to do in life. They have to see me aiming towards something big. And because they've seen it, they think they can get it. And I know they can. They've got the balls it takes from the beginning because I've been honest with them. Because they've lived, the life with me away from them. And now they're going to live it with me here a lot more often, obviously. It's been forced, you know. So when it comes down to it, yes, you know, like I choose children and I choose career. But you need to understand and believe that shit is integrated and there is no other way around it.
Absolutely.
Together. It is, there's no such thing as something separate.
Absolutely. You know, I tell you, we've talked about this before, and I tell people all the time, no, please, your words are inspiring and it's the truth. But I tell people, I tell people from the beginning when they say like, you know, when they're young artists are talking about, you know, well, how can I have a family? How can I do this? I'm like, look, if you do all the work now and you focus on your art and you keep yourself at a high level all the time, and you're nice to your colleagues and you're nice to the people you work with, when the time comes, if you have to take that time off to have a family, that work will be there when you come back. as long as you keep at a certain level all the time and give nothing less. You know, it will be there. If you have the discipline, you have the talent,
That's
you have
right.
the drive, it will be there.
Now, people need to know it's very easy to fall into giving something less because you become, satisfied with the level you've reached and you think you're so good and the shit doesn't stink and doesn't need improving. And so you go, oh, I'm floating on cloud nine. That sounds so good. I'm so good. But guess what? Lola Falana back here is coming right towards you with an amazing voice, an amazing technique, and the drive and doing the work it takes to get ahead. It'll surpass you. Don't be mad about it because you know you didn't do the work it takes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm just being real.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, when I've and you know this, you get into a rehearsal with some artists that are amazing, and you come the first day and you're thinking like, oh, I'm great, I've got this, and then you show up and they're just like, they come in, they do it, and they leave, and you're just like, what the fuck just happened? Whatever just happened, it was amazing, and I need to up the game.
You know what? Deep down, you know what I feel like, honestly, when I think about how many amazing singers I know that don't get any opportunities whatsoever. When I see that happen and I'm in a rehearsal and I see the Radames or I see Nominaries or see whoever I'm working with, half-assing it, I'm just like, this is a missed opportunity. A missed opportunity. You know what I mean? I would be like, this was your chance to use this as your outlet. Whatever is wrong with you, whatever you feel like you're slacking or whatever is wrong, use this as your outlet, your release. But people instead don't decide to do that at all, right? Mm-hmm. Instead, they go, oh, I'm tired of rehearsal, I'm going to half-ass it. I've been guilty of it too, y'all. I have.
Yeah,
well, not recently.
We've all been guilty of it.
But, it's something I've gotten older and learned,
How do you what do you think are?
I don't know. I feel like I'm so sorry. 1 second.
No, bring the.
Y'all go straight to the back. Yeah. Okay.
Bring them on.
No. Don't say that though.
We're kid friendly.
Are you kidding me? Did I not describe them earlier? They will take over.
We're kid friendly, and we have non-alcoholic alcohol as well.
They know better.
Yes.
They know exactly what's up. Okay.
Who were somebody when you growing up?
I would be really super nice mommy since I've had a little bit of my own personal cocktail. This is black grapes, by the way. This is not olive.
Oh wow!
Wait. Are you putting black grapes in bourbon?
Bourbon? Why not? Why not?
Wow!
Why not?
We have a new drink. We can call for Latanya.
You don't put fruit in bourbon. It's the only way to make that.
No, I've never done that. Wow.
Look, I've been trying to make all these drinks healthy, right? So I'm putting some fruit in this one. You can mix kombucha in drinks. I've learned that recently.
Of course.
Make that a nice healthy cocktail.
Of course. My wife puts fruit in it
because you think it's healthy. With a shot of B12.
There you go. A little vitamin D, right? Latanya, did you find that having children affected you vocally at all? Because I know I've spoken to some mothers who are performing singers that found that they had to relearn some technical things or that their bodies went through a little bit of a change and they weren't able to, or they were able rather, but they sort of had to renegotiate certain things. Did you find any of that?
Okay, you broke up a lot in that question. So say it again for me, honey. A little shorter.
Okay. I'm a blabbermouth. I know. My question was, and speaking to mothers, performing mothers, they did have to go through a transition vocally. Their bodies changed a little bit after having kids. Did you find that you had to do that? And if so, how did you negotiate that?
I absolutely had to do that. Okay, with the birth of my first child, she was supposed to be born naturally, but when my water finally broke after trying to induce labor, her umbilical cord fell too low and folded, so they had to do an emergency C-section. This is why I had to end up canceling Dallas Opera La Valley, because I thought I was going to be able to recover fine from a normal birth and it would be fine. But those muscles, they are literally cutting into that pelvic area, about, 3 or 4 inches below your belly button, that crucial area right above the junk, okay? And wow, it really took a while for it to heal. And it took a long time for me to recover. And the first gig I did right after, I flew 6 weeks later with my baby and my husband to Australia to do an outdoor water version of Aida. And it was with microphones, thank God, because that way I didn't have to push, I didn't have to stress my throat in any way, and I could let it heal in a way. It was a luxury I wouldn't have had if I did it without a microphone, to be honest. So after the second child, during the second child, I did Aida, and right after I gave birth to Julian, I did Aida again. And when I did Aida again there at the Met, I will say I was not ready. I was not vocally ready. That it was not finished. Not to mention, the real problem is when you cut down there, where I'm used to supporting, down that pelvic area, that, root, without getting too graphic. When you cut down in there, it takes way longer to retrain than you would think. Okay? And so I would say after Naomi and after Julian, each time, I said my voice was back 6 months later each time. And it's only because of a support issue.
Wow. It's like retraining the muscle.
Because hormonally and things like that, the hormones, they seek themselves out of your body during the after you give birth. You know what I mean? That sort of that period after you give birth. After that, I don't know, I've been drinking, I can't remember what it's actually called. Postpartum. During that 6 months, you get rid of all those hormones and all that extra stuff, and sometimes you get rid of the extra weight too. I was looking real cute after Julian, but then of course, after that, you start to regain all that stuff back because you start to normalize and get back to the chunk. Anyway, aside from that, I'll say it takes a while to recover. And let me tell you, Ronaldo Sculto told me I was pregnant with Naomi, and I sang a concert for Jesse, honoring Jesse Norman at the Met for one of their luncheons where they honor lots of the great divas and divos of the past. Well, I sang at this thing. I did the Tatiana Litter sing, and I told her, I said, right. Oh no, oh my God, it was something else where I saw her. I'm sorry, it was after the second baby, after Julian. I saw her, and I didn't sing that day. And she asked me, she said, LaTanya, how you doing? She actually knew. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing great, blah, blah, blah. And she told me, she said, so what are you doing? How are you doing with the voice and everything? When are you planning to sing after? And she asked me. And I said, I'm actually planning to sing like 3.5 weeks after Julian's. And she cut me right off. She was like, you were planning to sing nothing. You're going to cancel that gig. You're never going to make it to that gig. And she was right. I had to cancel it for sure. She was not wrong. She knows from experience. She's like, this your second child? You think you're going to sing after 3 weeks because it was easier? Guess what? You're going to have to cancel that shit anyway. And I surely did. She said, it's going to take 3 months for your voice to get back into any sort of working order. And after that, it's going to take time for you to rebuild because you'll never be the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had it's never nothing like that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I had nothing like that. I had a surgery on my sinus here because it was completely closed. And it took a year. It took a year to feel normal, and that has nothing to do with my support. Something that you went through with your support is like, it's like going to the gym for the first time after 5 years off, It's unbelievable. I can't imagine.
Let me tell you this though, deep down, Stephen, it's any kind of like trauma, whether it be a physical sort of trauma, whether you've had surgery, it can be emotional trauma, something that happened in your life. It can be mental, it can be any kind of thing. It will change the way you sing. I'm the sort of person where if I'm super upset, I'm pissed off and I've got an argument about something or whatever, I'm emotionally compromised, I'll never sing well. It's scientifically impossible. You know why? Your larynx goes up. You cannot control it. Mm-hmm. Everything is tight. Everything is gripped. You cannot get control. It's impossible because it's an emotional art form. And in order to emote like you can to the audience with this sort of precision and this discipline of technique, the only way to do it is if you are completely mentally sound. You think about how many opera singers have had to struggle with their emotions to keep their nerves in check. Nerves is a huge issue. Let's get to Jussi Björling, yeah? Jussi Björling was the type of singer that needed a drink so that he could calm them nerves to sing. And I get it. Now, me drinking doesn't serve me as well. I'm a soprano, and I sing so far away from where I talk that it's detrimental.
Although I have to say,
So
I remember back in the day. I remember back in the day, you singing a completely perfect and beautiful Dove Sono, a little, maybe a couple drinks in, and it was fantastic. It was fantastic.
You mean at the Tomasello Winery?
Oh, no, but no. No.
Then guess what, Costello?
Oh, boy.
No, but you're right. And one thing I want to
my beverage as I sip.
Speaking of that, what are some roles that you haven't done that you want to do? Because I remember you singing an incredible Countess, Marriage of Figaro, incredible, and yet I don't think you've done many of them since then, have you?
I haven't done many of those since then, but it's not entirely because I have not had the opportunity. It's also by choice.
Why?
I mean, I by nature am more of look, because by nature I consider myself more of a charismatic singer. Okay, so I tend to lean toward things that are on the lighter realismo side, whether it be me or Margarita Mephistopheles or something heavy like Lacid. Who knows? But I am drawn toward a certain type of music. Now, when it comes to Mozart, though, I will say I would not frown upon Donna Anna or Elvira. But when it comes to the Contessa, the only part where I had a disconnect was the character itself. I would have rather been doing Donna Elvira again, which I did few years before that at ADA. But for Contessa, what I loved the most about the Countess was not the arias at all, because I felt like they were very far removed from who she actually is. But it was all the recitatives. It was the hottest thing. I just loved them so much, and I was very good at it. And I was working with some people in the production, like Marcus Beam. As well as he sang all the arias, I liked his recitatives. He was so involved, and we were all into this spoken scenery, and I loved the play of it.
Well, because
more than anything.
You spent hours. You spent hours getting that together.
I feel like with a role like Contessa, though, the issue for me is the fact that it's not very. A lot of women don't play it enough like Rosina, and it's played so much like the Countess as the 21-year-old Countess instead of the 18-year-old Rosina. I was like, don't forget that you're Rosina. Don't forget you're still that chick from before. You know, when you were like hanging out with Figaro, you were hanging out with him, he was your boy, and now things are a little bit different. Don't forget who you are, because if you don't forget who you are as the Countess of Marriage of Figaro, it becomes so incredible. Finally, the Countess becomes who she's supposed to be. If you remember the Spanish girl from before, so.
I think that's a problem a lot of roles have, right? That people sort of play the end, right? So you have, like, for instance, like Susanna, she often is like shit talking to the Count the whole time, bobbing her. It's like he could throw your ass in jail just because you win later. Don't act like you're gonna fucking win the whole time.
It's true, right? Oh God, I love Figaro. Funny play. Of course, I'll tell you, if Figaro was written in another time, and this is not to knock any of these composers, as I love all of the ones I'm about to name. However, I think that some composers, the genius of them is the fact that they were able to choose the right librettos, right? They chose the right libretti for their style of music. For example, you have somebody like Rossini, who predominantly chose comedy. You have somebody like Verdi, who predominantly chose absolute drama, high drama, royalty, a lot of the time. And then you have somebody like Puccini, that in all ways wanted to portray the bohemian in every opera he did, whether it was Fanciulla, the simple man, whether it was Bohème, whether it was Butterfly, somebody in the military, in a simple geisha, no matter what it was. You know what I mean? So every composer had this thing that they wanted to do in this genre, you know, they were all about. And I don't know how I turn back to this, but going back to Mozart, I can say that he was definitely an exception because he did the gamut. I mean, he did the drama, he did the sexist operas, he did the political operas, he did the everything. And then look, a lot of them did, but I'll say he probably did it the best.
What is your
favorite of mine? Even if I get to...
What is your dream role?
My dream role is, gosh, it's hard to say because when I think about a dream role character-wise compared to the actual music that's composed for it is completely different. This is the problem. You know, the dream role that I have for myself is not really my voice type. And then the things that I feel like vocally are perfect are not really the characters that I want to portray. For instance, I love singing Madame Butterfly more than any character ever. But as far as a role portrayal goes, I can't say that's really the one that I would choose if it was just based on an actual role. You know, I think that there are so many characters that are very complex, and Butterfly is also complex. But I, at this point, you know, being in my 40s, my birthday's tomorrow actually.
Oh, happy birthday again.
I feel like
Mazel.
I probably identify with other characters more. Thank you. I feel like I identify with other characters more than I would have before. You know, that being said, now this is a very young character that's not my age, but one that I would understand better than I ever understood it before. This was a role I played for the Spanish premiere of the opera, Carlisle Floyd's Susanna. I was at a point in my life where I didn't take it seriously enough, and I didn't do any of the detail work that was required of a score so complex, you know. But I relate to a character like this in a very, very big way because I very much feel like an outcast in all communities, whether or not be my own community, the Black community. I feel like an outcast. I feel like an outcast many times in the opera community. I feel like an outcast when it just comes to school. I feel like this eccentric thing that's different from everyone else. And so does Susanna. And even though I played the character 10 years ago, this is something I would do a whole lot better now than I would have ever done then. And it's a character I relate to on a very personal level. So even though I'm only 85% vocally fit for the role, it's perfect.
You know, I have to say, there is something. There's something I do agree with, and you are an outcast, and it's not because of anything else other than you have a spectacular voice that sits above everybody else. I mean, it really is. It's really incredible. I know you don't like listening to yourself as we talk. It's really a gorgeous voice. You know, should we plug our thing with Tanya at the moment? Should we plug? So we have recently joined this group, this app called Resonance, where artists like ourselves go on there, and you can request to have a coaching or a lesson, whatever, or a career advice or a career conversation or stuff like that. And you can go on this app and you can request to have a session with them. Wow, it just got. I'm looking behind me, by the way.
Yeah, I know, it's wild. I know.
No, it's hailing.
I know it was fucking hailing here just a second ago. We're 5 blocks apart, by the way, Latanya, just so you know.
Yeah, I feel like
it's hailing here in New York.
I feel like we're going to get hit by a tornado at the moment.
No, it's already clear by me, Steve. It'll be clear by you in a second.
Yeah, I feel like it's tornado, the hail and the wind and the rain.
I know,
it's crazy.
It's wild.
But anyway, so we're on this application called Resonance, where you can go on and you can, if you like Latanya or you like myself or you like anybody, you can go on and request a session with them one-on-one. It's a really great app. So you go to the App Store, Resonance, get it, download it, use it. Right?
I wanted to jump on this real fast. Steven, sorry. Kathy said she loves us. Keep producing. I'm sorry, Latanya. I just wanted to plug this real fast. You go.
I think it's absolutely amazing. Believe me, especially because for me, I mean, for years, I have seen people, you know, when I've done shows who have wanted coachings with me and who wanted coachings with my colleagues, you know, and wanted to do things like that. You know what I mean? They haven't had the opportunity so openly. So I'm really glad that you're saying it out loud like this, where they have that vein, you know what I mean? Where they can come to the coach, come to the vocal artist, come to somebody for the business advice regarding this business. So fantastic. Please, please, please look up Resonance and come, and all of us, you know, should be there. Gideon, you too, yeah? You gonna be around or what?
It does because it does because like you always have the middleman, and you're always afraid to ask a friend to get in touch with so and so, or you're afraid to ask someone to introduce you to so and so. And so having this app now, it gives you full access to artists that you may like, that you may want to ask for career advice, and or ask for even just advice on your own singing. I mean, it's a really incredible thing. Gideon, should we? Do you want to play some games?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll play a game. But first, I wanted to jump on this comment here that Kathy said, keep producing these conversations. Well, you're in luck, Kathy. We do this every week. Every week, Monday, 5:30. This is our gig now, and we're damn happy about it. But yes, let's move on.
Kathy! Oh my God,
She says yes.
Yes,
She says hello.
I love you, honey.
Okay, so are we moving on to the fun game? This is just we call it a game, but it's basically a game called Do We Give a Shit, which is basically where we just discuss all the news and discuss whether or not we give a shit, whether or not it's important. Because a lot of shit happens that doesn't really matter. Maybe it does. Who knows? But you know what? Let's start with this one here. So the first one is that the Senate Intelligence Committee has confirmed.
The first one, I refill.
Oh, take it.
Take your refill.
Take your refill.
This one. We'll start this one and she'll come back. That's a first, Stephen. We've never had somebody go for a refill. I kind of love it.
You know,
but
Gideon,
anyway, I'm lucky. Yes.
If we had a sponsor, anybody out there runs an alcohol company that wants to sponsor us,
maybe a bourbon company.
We can advertise your beverage on our show, and we can also send it to our guest of the day, so they can partake in the drinking.
Yes, thank you, Peter, for the link. I have my bartender, Jessica. Thank you for filling me up here. So that's good. Okay, is she back yet? No, she's not back yet. But I'll start this off. So check this out. The Senate Intelligence Committee has confirmed that the U.S. Navy actually has a UFO task force. They confirmed it. That's it. It's out in the open. And now Marco Rubio wants a detailed analysis of unidentified aerial phenomena, data, and intelligence reported. He wants a report on all of this. But guess what? We have an organization that's doing this. Stephen, do you give a shit?
You know, I do give a shit because I thought we had an organization for a long time called Men in Black. You know, I often thought that Will Smith and Tommy, what is it? What's his name?
Tommy Lee Jones, yes.
Tommy Lee Jones. I often thought they were underground chasing aliens anyway. So I kind of do give a shit.
Now it's confirmed. Now it's confirmed that the Men in Black are real.
I do.
Yes.
Good.
Latanya, the Senate Intelligence is confirmed.
Absolutely real.
It's real. Do you give a shit? It's confirmed now. They have a task force for it.
What, you want to sit here and pretend like we're the only amazing organisms that could have formed in this vast universe? We're the only things that are so intelligent that we could possibly. Please.
I just hope they have. I just hope the aliens.
Absolutely, 100% real.
I hope the aliens have a cure for COVID. That's all I care about.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. We were talking about all these kinds of things. We're talking about quarantine. We're talking about COVID. Well, here's a story that sort of came up, if you will, and that is that erectile dysfunction is on the rise in quarantine. Stephen, do you have any comments on this? Stephen, do you want to maybe?
I don't know. If I say I give a shit, people are going to talk about me. No, you know what? I don't.
Go ahead, speak the truth.
I got to say, I don't give a shit. You know why? Because they never close down pharmacies. You have erectile dysfunction, call your doctor, get a pill.
Good
on
point.
Your way.
Good point.
And if you don't want to get COVID, find a pharmacy to deliver.
Dysfunction.
What's that?
So, what's
I
that?
could tell you exactly why there's erectile dysfunction on the rise in quarantine. It's because now
Why
they're
is
getting to
that?
know their wives. And they're not as hot.
Oh.
Okay, and guess what? Go ahead and get to know your wives. You're gonna have to re-get to know them to get it where it needs to be now.
Right.
Because now you're learning the truth about them. You're forced to be with them. No choice. So that's why erectile dysfunction is on the rise. No other reason.
Also, I mean, at the same time, so is domestic abuse. So that could go hand in hand. I don't know.
Yikes.
For the same reason. Yes.
It's bad.
Getting to know your spouse better goes both
That's
ways.
true. It's bad in New York City. I read a stat. In New York City, domestic abuse is up 60%. That is terrible.
Yeah. Suicide, too. It's
really
bad.
awful.
Real bad. Yeah. So now.
It is terrible. And I believe it because people are pushed. They're pushed to a limit and they have decided that they want to be upset, that they want to be mad about it. They don't like being confined. They don't like being told what to do, and they're going to take it out on their loved ones.
It's funny, Latanya. It's funny. Before we go on, that also applies to like our business in a way, right? So there are a lot of companies in Europe right now that are trying to bring opera back under the guidelines of their COVID rules. And I really applaud their efforts for trying to do that. But there's a lot of people in our business that read that and naysay it, and they basically say, "Oh, they're going to kill people. They're going to do this." And look, I've worked for a lot of these European companies. There are a lot of great people. There are a lot of smart people. They don't want to put anybody's lives in danger. They don't want to put anybody in the audience that may be vulnerable to COVID or that could have a problem. And I think they're doing a great job trying to find a way to keep our art form surviving at the same time as putting on productions in this time. And that's the same thing. It's people online that just want to have a discussion about these companies. And I feel like they want to say something negative so people agree with it.
Okay, let me say, when it comes down to it, what are people supposed to believe? Every minute you're told something contradictory.
Absolutely.
Oh, you should have been here last week. We were all about that one.
All that anybody can do. Jeez. I mean, but seriously, whoever said that on your panel last week, seriously, I'm in agreement. What are you supposed to believe when you have contradictory things coming from the powers that be?
You know what they believe? They should watch it.
It's impossible for everyone to agree on one thing. And what do you get? You get a hodgepodge of people who care about the health of others and people who only care about themselves. Because that's the choices they've been left with. When you get
I'm going back to this comment now.
Of crap.
That is true.
Preach.
But just what you're supposed to be doing.
But
as a united front, but they can't.
But just so they know, if they want the facts, they should get it here at our show. We give nothing but facts.
Fair and balanced, right? That's what we do.
I mean, none of us have medical degrees or anything else other than a music degree, but we'll give you the facts on COVID.
But I read a lot.
Yeah, guess what?
That counts
you know
for
what?
something.
I'm human. And as a human,
that's right.
I know that what I just said is a fact.
Amen. So speaking of the adapting to the strange times we're in, On-Site Opera has done Andi Ferne Geliebte as a phone call where people can, there's our good friend Jen Zetlin there in the picture, where people can make appointments and you will be phoned in and she will sing that song cycle to you, To My Distant Love. Oh, Latanya, what do you think of this? You're dying over there. Hold on, I'm going to highlight this. This is
Just go to Steven.
Okay, go to Steven. All right, I'm going to Steven. Steven, now you're on.
I can tell you this. Last time I called someone, I sang under the phone to them. They hung up on me and they said, "Don't call me again. Get my number off your caller list," because they thought I was a telemarketer. I don't know. You know, it's kind of like at this point, we're kind of making our business about the singing telegram. You know, it's like pretty soon you can dial my number. I can call you and sing happy birthday to you. But come on.
Yeah, right. It's like Cameo, except for we're singing.
I don't know.
Okay. Look. Okay. I mean, I thought so many things, and I had to think about what I actually wanted to say here. Because I think so many funny things right now about this. This is the funniest thing I've seen so far on the show right now. All right.
All right.
Let me tell you, it's a super, super sweet idea. But I just can't stop laughing at it, so I can't even form any other opinion, except that it's a super sweet idea. But if somebody called me doing that, I don't know why I would laugh.
Do you give a shit? Do you give a shit?
Do you give a shit? I think this is our best show, Steven. She's dying over there.
That girl in the picture probably sounds bomb. She probably sounds.
She does. Good. Jen's a great singer. Yeah. She's a fine singer.
I'm not gonna lie. I would laugh.
It reminds me of that scene in Jersey Boys when they're like, oh, check out this hit, and they all get around the phone and they start singing Sherry. It's like, come on. It's like.
Kind of like that. Well, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Moving on. Right?
You know, although we laugh now, but in a week we'll all be making phone calls.
Yes. We're doing Don Giovanni live from fucking Steven's living room.
I'm gonna be like that girl. I'm gonna be like, home chick.
Latanya,
I'm desperate girl. Like, home chick. How can I make those calls?
Latanya, I'm gonna call you on a 3.
I'll be eating my words.
I'll call you on a 3-way conversation. We can do the butterfly duet to someone else.
There you go. All right. So, as if we needed any more evidence that dogs are the greatest gift to all of us, dogs are now able to detect COVID. They have found that their accuracy is great, and this is not without precedent. There was a very famous story that started this, where a woman who had a small dog was constantly sort of burrowing suddenly his face into her chest, and she didn't understand why. And sure enough, she got a mammogram, and he had smelled that she had developed a tumor in her left breast. Dogs can sense these things. They are sensing COVID, and they are able to do it at a very good rate. This is amazing news, and probably way better than those stupid fucking forehead thermometers. Well, Tanya, what do you think? Doggy detection of COVID.
I don't know why I think it's bullshit, but I'm going with bullshit. Steven?
You know,
no.
I gotta say, I look, I love dogs more than people. I'm gonna say that.
Yes.
I think that you know, my dog, our dog Pebbles, who passed recently, was really great at weeding assholes. So I think they could detect COVID. Why not?
No, they can. They can.
And they can't do any better than the CDC and the WHO.
When a person is sick, they're feeling, something bad in their body. Fine, I think they can detect that. But to say that they can specifically detect COVID, I'm gonna call bullshit.
Okay, wait.
They know when a person is sick, they can feel it.
But Latanya, if you went to the doctor to take a COVID test, and they said you can choose between the government-issued test or the dog.
Or the doggy. I'm going with the doggy.
I'm going with the dog every time.
First I choose the puppy.
Yeah.
And then after the puppy, I'd want the other test just for a backup.
Yeah, just to make sure he was correct.
First, I would choose the puppy, which is pathetic. And it's sad is how much I have no faith in our medical system here. I think they lie. I think they make up numbers. I think they lie. I think they say whatever they got to say. I can speak from experience when I've been to doctors where they say, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. Let me give you antibiotics, even though I'm not sure if you have an infection, because the antibiotics otherwise would harm your body, but it will only harm it minimally. So let's go ahead and try it anyway, just in case it actually solves the problem. I can feel like I won.
You know what it is?
That's how much faith I have in doctors right now. So I'm going to go with the puppy first.
It's because...
it is. And then the dog.
It's all because at some point the answer "I don't know" has become unacceptable. When "I don't know" is a very acceptable answer. If you don't know something, you just say "I don't know." When I have more facts, I will get back to you. And people don't want to accept that.
That's 100% true. You may be an outcast elsewhere, Latanya, but not one here. That's for sure.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, moving on.
y'all.
So, you know those little things we got in our pockets? Well, guess what? Oh, this is not a great one. That's right. Your iPhone has a hidden map of everywhere you go. That's right, because they want to track important locations like where you park, what you do. However, thankfully, there is a way to get rid of it. The Apple spy phone, as it were. I made that up. Thank you. You're very welcome for that one. There is a way to, thank you, Stephen, for laughing courteously. There is a way to get rid of that, and Apple promises that this data is encrypted and cannot be retrieved from your phone. That is merely for you. Latanya, what do you think? Do you give a shit?
Ish.
Steven.
I mean, I give a shit ish. Because
okay.
you know, when it comes down to it, the only people who are going to care about that. I mean, you can do that by tracking your own iPhone. If you need it to be just for you, there's an app where you can track your own iPhone. There's an app where you can do all the stuff. So, are they serious?
No, but this tracks
really
this tracks where you go and keeps a log of it.
It's just like on the Apple phones when you have the security where you can give your fingerprint. You know, it's for more than just you. They want your fingerprint. And they've never had my fingerprint. I've never been incarcerated. I've gotten away with murder. Stephen probably doesn't remember any time that one time we were together hanging out with somewhere, and we got away with some sort of murder, right? And we got away with it, and many times we got away with things we shouldn't have been doing, okay? That's right. Talking our way out of situations with the cops, right? Now, when it comes down to it, you know, if you have a problem in it, I know, baby. If you have a problem, you need to solve your own problem. Go ahead and solve it. You don't need the government to do that for you. If they are doing it and they're offering it as a service that's supposedly for you, of course it's not for you. It's for them. It's never for anyone else. How stupid can you be? You know, I'm telling you, I'm taking my fingerprint off of everything now. You kidding me? The only run-in I had with the law is they thought one time I was a gang because we were swinging on the swings at 1 a.m. in Houston. And we wanted to go to the park.
Because what gang does that? I mean,
the swing gang.
Jessica, and they said, you're a gang. I'm like, we're the marching band.
Well,
what kind of gang are we?
I mean, but let's be honest. Let's be honest. This Apple thing, is it really news? I mean, didn't we know they were tracking us? I mean, example. 2 days ago, I was chatting with a friend of mine, looking for my anniversary is tomorrow, looking for an anniversary gift, and they gave me a suggestion. I didn't scroll this suggestion. They just sent me a text saying, have you thought of this? And for 3 fucking days after that, I got ads for that exact thing on all of my social medias. I mean, let's be honest. This is not, they have been spying on us.
Stephen, wait a minute. Let me go further than that. I need to go further than that and say what another singer said recently, okay? Because I had been thinking it, but Laquita Mitchell said, she was just like, I can say something around my phone, and somehow something pops up as an ad on it. And that happens to me on a daily basis where I just speak things around my phone. I'm like, Siri is listening even when you don't tell her to.
I could swear. I mean,
those phone systems are listening.
I could swear that, you know, I'm sitting on the couch talking with my wife, and Alexa comes up on the screen and says, "Excuse me, I can't hear what you're saying. Can you speak up louder?" I mean, it's just
wiretap. I have something to say.
Yeah, we're being followed. Let's be honest.
Okay, I'll just say this.
And by the way,
my cousin, yes.
I think if we're gonna continue to talk about these things on our show, we should probably do some sort of VPN so they can't track where we.
So my cousin does work for Instagram, and he insists that they do not listen, that your phone would get red hot if it listened. However, he was in the IDF, and they know how to keep secrets. So, you know.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Plus, there's also a thing called an NDA that you sign when you join on to certain organizations.
Yeah, that's true too. Well, it's too bad. It's too bad that we don't have our buddy Francesco for this one. But conductors are feeling the crunch of the pandemic. They're so upset that all they're doing is score studying and they're not working. However, I have to say, I give a shit because I'm glad that they're covering this a little bit. I'm glad that people are starting to realize the plight that we musicians, we performers are in, that people, that we, can't do what we do because of this shit. So in a way, I kind of give a shit. LaTanya, what do you think?
I 100% give a shit, because the whole purpose of a conductor is to keep a live performance together, regardless of whether or not it's being recorded, right? So now they have no job. Now there have been some that have jobs, obviously, and doing opera right now. Just to something on Twitter where he was conducting a choir, the Donizetti Requiem, which I didn't even know existed.
Correct.
He was conducting a choir of the Donizetti Requiem, and every choir member had a mask. And what I really want to ask is, one of those choir members, how was it sinking into a freaking mask, man?
We covered that story,
does
actually.
Sound all back on you, because when you sing into the room, and it comes back into your mouth. So I really wonder. Of course, it's a very light covering, and it shows just how light the covering is, because you're able to really hit the choir, doesn't it? So you wonder about the coverings even. Are these, masks that they say are okay? I mean, are they really? Do we give a shit about these masks? Yes. Should they be better? Yes. Not enough people care to where the government would feel like they should, provide them for free. That's what's so sad. And of course, not enough of the government feels like
the same government does not give out free condoms anymore. I mean, let's be quite honest.
That being said, I feel sorry for the conductors, because they are all about keeping a live performance, which they don't have the ability to do, because there ain't enough live performances happening, especially here on this side in the U.S. So anyway, we're passing on.
Yeah, I got to say, I do give a shit the same reason. I have a lot of friends that are conductors that are great at their jobs, and they're like we are. They're like handcuffed at the moment. They can't have an outlet for their craft. But I mean, let's be honest about one thing. Unless Paul Potts and Andrea Bocelli are outspoken about classical music, no one's going to listen to us. So, I mean, we need to find a way to be heard. And if they're doing at least one article on some sense of classical music,
funny you say that. Speaking of being heard, perhaps this is a strategy we might be able to employ, and that's right. The NBA will be allowing players to put social justice statements on the back of their jerseys, per the report. They get to customize their own jerseys as they see fit. LaTanya, do you remember the XFL with "He Hate Me" on the back? Remember that back in the day? What do you think of this? Do you give a shit? Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say just this.
Okay.
Good Lord, I'm so tired. Okay, one thing that I love about arts and about sports, I love that it's not political.
Oh,
now of course it is.
Language.
But not the way we think of it. It's how good are you? This person, what team are super players? You know what I mean? It goes that way for sports. It goes that way for the arts. It goes that way all around, right? So, oh my God. If you allow all these athletes, all of these artists to put political statements on their back, then it completely changes, right? It makes our business about something else it's never supposed to be about. I believe that the arts, or that business, and that kind of politics in the business of sports and arts, separate. I know that when people have a position of power within these things, that they feel like it's necessary for them to voice their opinion, to say what they think. I get it. I understand. But don't do it in the field of play. Colin Kaepernick and him taking a knee didn't happen within the field of play. If I it does overnight, they play national anthem, okay, night, national States. If I were to take a knee, in my opinion, this is only my opinion, people, it would be acceptable. But if I were to demonstrate that throughout the opera in some way, to break my character, to go away from what I was hired to do and make it about myself, about my personal opinions, I believe that is wrong.
Interesting.
So
Stephen,
yes, use your power, use your fame, use your platform to stand up for what's right. But do not do it with the field, whether it be with sports or with music or what have you. I mean, and I know that people will disagree, but I firmly believe it. Anyway, Stephen, what you think?
You know, it's different. I mean, hasn't it been like this for a while? Didn't Meta World Peace change his name to Meta World Peace in order to do exactly that without a penalty?
Well before that, remember World Be Free back in the
course.
80s.
Well, look, here's the thing. And I agree with LaTanya. I do agree with LaTanya in a way. You know, you have a platform as a singer. You have a platform as an artist. You have a platform. Anybody that has a following has a platform. And what you use that for is up to you. And yes, we want you to use it for good, for something that is great. But there is that 30 minutes when you're doing an opera where people go, or when 30 minutes when you go to a musical, where you go just to get away from everything, where you go to clear your head, where you go to just kind of forget about what's going on because you're overloaded with everything. And that's our job. Our job is to bring people in those 2 hours that solitude, you know? And we hope that we can use our platform to encourage people to do the right thing. But you know, you don't want to keep because there are people that come to see you also. Watch. Oh, did we lose LaTanya?
She's there. We
You
got her.
there?
Yeah, we got her.
Okay, my computer's
She's
like,
going in and out. We'll get her. Yeah, no, it's all right.
but yeah, you know, and let's be honest. I don't watch TV anymore, so I guess maybe they can do whatever they want.
You're not missing much. You're not missing much at all. Hopefully, Tanya will be back. Will be back shortly. What I was just going to add about this is that I actually think this is a good idea, and the reason why I think this is sort of a good idea, and I despise the sort of I really love to go to the opera, like you said, and like LaTanya said, to just kind of, you know, enjoy the work, the music, and these kinds of things. I actually think that there was because they're so strict on what they don't allow. You know what I mean? Because they're so strict about what they don't allow, that's what forced the kneeling and these other sort of gestures. And I think that if players were allowed to more express how they feel on their bodies, they'd be less inclined to be more demonstrative about it and these kinds of things. And I think people would be more receptive to it too. If he's just playing the game and he has a black armband or something to that effect, I think that would go over better even than if there were sort of some sort of display of like an act or a gesture. That's why I actually think it's if this is going to I think this is a fair compromise is basically what I'm saying. I actually think that it's reasonable.
Yeah, you know, here's the thing. I mean, like I said, people pay money to just get away from the world for 2-3 hours. Like that's what people want. And they know if I'm outspoken about an idea or I'm outspoken and I'm supporting a certain thing, people know before they go that I do that because they obviously follow me on everything I do. But I don't know. But then again, they have a platform of millions of people more probably than they do on their own social media. So I honestly don't care. I only care if the Sixers win. They can do whatever they want.
Yes, anything to take me away from my eyes from the scoreboard at Madison Square Garden for my beloved Knicks. I guess that's where I stand.
I feel like the teams that are good can do that, and the teams that are not should focus on playing better.
Tanya's getting a little stuck. We're going to move on to the next story here, though.
Wait, is Latanya still here? Wait, should we make sure she's here? Can you hear us, Latanya?
Latanya, can you hear us?
You want to send her a text?
Right. She's a little. So you can send her a text. Yeah, we're a little stuck. We have just a couple of stories left here. We can go. We can move on to a couple other stories. We can take this one till she comes back rather. So, oh wait, she's coming back. She is coming back. Are we gonna get her? Are we gonna get her?
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Fucking do it live. Fucking thing sucks. Okay, we're gonna kick that one, and we're gonna add the new Latanya. Is she there? Yes, she is. She's moving. We have her.
No, we don't. Not on my screen.
No.
There she is, Latanya 2.0. There she is.
Latanya 2.0. She's back. Okay, moving on to the next story. I call this story "Fake Licenses, Real Crashes." Pakistan International Airlines has grounded 150 pilots over fucking bogus licenses. They frauds. They fudged their licenses, and there were actual plane crashes. This is some serious shit. Latanya, welcome back. What do you think? That's a great face. I'm gonna highlight this one.
Come on! Oh my god!
Oh man. Yeah. Steven, can you top that?
What I see, the problem is just like the problem you see in law enforcement all around. Fake shit. People who should not be doing the jobs that they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. No.
Fake licenses, real crashes, fake licenses for people who ain't pilots. Fake badges for people who ain't really cops.
Oh.
Fake degrees for people who ain't really doctors. The USA has become about that. You look at other countries, and to this day, there are some people that are my age that still feel you can come to the USA and you can do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want to be and all this stuff, and it's true. But can you be it well? Can you? You know how many taxi drivers I've seen that should not have a license? That drive like shit. Gynecologists who go in there, oh, it's all fine. And you got a nasty yeast infection in there. A dentist who goes in there, no problem. You got a deep abscess in the bottom, underneath in the deep part. Because people don't fucking know what they're doing. Okay? They don't. The politicians don't know what they're doing. The doctors don't even know what they're doing anymore. Because the teachers are giving out A+ and they're giving out degrees to people who are not qualified. They don't care anymore.
Latanya, do you mind being a regular on our show? That's the request.
For unqualified people, that's why shit's happening.
I have to say, I agree with the. So I'm in New York City now, and I'm sure there are a million more crashes in New York City in cars with people who don't have licenses.
Yeah,
that's the truth. I once, it's a terrible story, and I'm going to say it. I know it's a family friendly show. Guy, I was with a friend of mine, driving in a cab, and he's driving out of the ordinary. I peek over the divider to see what's happening. The guy was taking care of himself while he was driving us home. True story, really happened. So I can believe this story. I don't give a shit, although I probably should.
Yeah. Okay. So we have another vote for Latanya to be a regular guest. I would love that more than anything. Speaking of returns, how about the return of Jesus? Yes, Passion of the Christ 2 Resurrection. He promises a mind-blowing sequel. Just a quick story here. I saw the Passion of the Christ opening night. But my family's Jewish. I'm raised Jewish, very proud. But as I left the theater, as in a very somber mood, a man says to his wife, the book was better. Latanya, what do you think? Oh, you want to check a look at the story?
I just have to be sure about that.
Yes, this is exactly right. What you think is what he said. He's very excited to give this exciting, mind-blowing sequel. That this is gonna be like Fast and Furious 2. I'm guessing, or something. What do you think?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm fascinated.
Oh.
Please tell me what you got to say.
I got to say, yeah.
Part 2.
I'm
living for that. Please, I'm so excited. I need something that's gonna show me about the supposed future.
I have to say, I'm from the side that I like the Passion of the Christ one, but you know what? We knew the story. How can you make a mind-blowing movie in the second version when you know the story there too? I mean,
okay.
Mind-blowing or not, we know the story. It's not like it's going to be a surprise. It's not like it's going to be I mean, what's the anytime you watch a movie about anything in history that's ever happened, you know the answer. Like Titanic, they could do everything they wanted, but we knew it was going to happen in the end. I mean, how is it going to blow our minds?
Yeah, well, that's what he says.
And not just that. The sequel, when's it coming out? If it's coming out in the next couple of months, I'm not going to rent it on my TV. I'm not going to spend $20 in my living room to watch a movie that's released when I can watch Netflix for free and then wait till I can go to a movie theater again.
That's a fair point, too. All right, Stephen. Do we have any viewer questions, by the way? This has been quite a show.
Do we have any viewer questions?
Yes. Do we have any viewer questions? Yeah, we usually open it up to questions here. We have a Prile Milo, the great. She says there's a huge audience that wants the authentic singer. It doesn't have to be Bocelli and his hybrids. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair comment.
That is a fair comment.
Yes.
Do we have any?
I think.
Do we have any more news stories? Any stories we didn't hit?
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple more.
Should we keep going? Latanya, you want to keep going? Latanya, still there? You want to keep going?
Yeah, I'm good.
I have a couple of.
The kids are in the room. We're good for now.
We have a couple of. I have mostly some COVID stories. I'm trying to think if there's anything that's worthwhile. That's kind of it, to tell you the truth. The rest is just sort of like boring COVID that we've covered ad infinitum.
Yeah,
that's
COVID.
It. But we have a good review from Miss Betty Costello. Stephen, I don't know if you have any comments on that. But
Thank you, Mom. Thank you.
It has. Oh, it's Mom. That's nice. The show has definitely made my day as well. And everyone seems to. Latanya, I really hope you'll come back. That's all I have to say. I really hope.
Latanya, anything near and dear to your heart that you want to talk about before we go?
Yes. Is there anything you want to plug, maybe?
I didn't quite hear what y'all had to say. Okay, I'm not sure what you're saying because y'all are breaking up really bad. But just in case I'm not breaking up, I'm looking at the time, and I do have to go soon.
No. We're ending.
Yeah.
Just in case I don't get to say what I want to say. Huh?
We're ending the show. We want to know if there's anything you want to say before we go. Yes.
Is that the light?
Oh my God! It's like I'm psychic. Awesome. Okay. Is it I wanted to say? Okay. On this show, you come see. I'm an opera singer, right? And then when it comes down to it, I'm all about live performance. This is what I do. This is what I've trained to do. All I can say is I want y'all to pray that we can get back to that sort of thing again. Because
absolutely,
for me, I feel like I can minister sort of healing to people, or like take them out of their normal lives and give them some art, make them feel some sort of release. But it's a release for me too, and for Steven and for all the other artists. Like we need to do it, Mm-hmm. I know people don't control what happens with COVID. People don't control what happens with racism and riots. people, you know, ultimately don't control any of this. It's all about emotions, and it's all about what you feel. You know, it's not about your actions ultimately. I mean, how do you feel? And how are you going to think toward it? You know, if you feel like you want and you need something like art, then support it. I don't mean only financially, you know, share it on your social media, watch it on TV, sing it, draw something, plant a fucking tree. Whatever it is you're going to do, please do something and don't sit there and wait for somebody to tell you that the world is open and you're allowed to do it. Or it's okay for you to try to do something because it's cool now. Do something because you're a human. Do something because I am getting very tired. Try to do something positive. You know, something towards forward momentum and not staying stuck in the same old shit. If you're one of those people that feels content with what's going on right now, then I'm going to tell you only that I'm sorry. And for those people who are not content, they don't like what's going on, please just do something. Do anything. Do something toward positive change. That's it.
That's a
Please.
great way to end our show. Latanya, we'd love to have you on as a regular. If you want to come on, you're willing, let us know.
Yes, anytime.
You know how I love you. And Gideon, let me tell you, I say I hate to talk over you, but Gideon, you know, I don't know you very well, but I already love you so much because I saw a couple of y'all little interviews and stuff before, and I thought it was so cute. And Stephen, you know, I love you so deep. You always have a place in my heart.
I love you too.
I'll be on your show anytime you ask me. You know you got me forever, yeah?
Don't say something you're going to regret. Don't say something you regret. So
we'll have you back.
We'll have you back. All right.
You got me, Stephen. You know you do. I'll never regret that.
All right. So Gideon will be back next week, and thank you for joining.
Yeah,
Tanya, thank you so much. And
Yeah.
we could be back next week with Tanya also. Who knows?
Who knows?
Tune in to find out.
I'm here, baby.